Gemini 3.6 Flash, Kimi K3, and DeepSeek V4 Pro are all fighting for the same job right now. The model your app calls a few 100,000 times a month. I ran the same 5 tests on all 3: cost, coding, speed, context, and deployment, and kept a running score the whole way through. This is the test that decides your monthly bill before anything else matters. Community-reported list pricing puts Gemini 3.6 Flash at $1.50 per million input tokens and $7.50 per million output tokens. Kimi K3 runs exactly double that, $3 in and $15 out. DeepSeek V4 Pro has no published pricing anywhere I could find, so it sits this one out on paper. Here's the twist. A community report claims DeepSeek V4 Flash, not Pro, spent just 0.31 tossers on a set of tasks that cost $35 on Kimi K3. That's a real number worth knowing, but it's community reported, and it's the Flash sibling, not the Pro model this video is actually about. I'm not letting that number carry Pro's water. One more detail worth knowing if you're building on Kimi K3 directly. Moonshot's API requires a one-time $1 minimum top-up just to get started. Small, but it's real. On the numbers we can actually verify for these 3 products, Gemini 3.6 Flash wins this test outright. That's Gemini 3.6 Flash 1, Kimi K3 0, DeepSeek V4 Pro 0. My name is Brian, and I'm an AI expert who plays with these tools for 12 hours a day, so you don't have to. Let's get into the numbers. If you've used any of these 3 for real coding work, drop a comment on which one has actually held up for you, because benchmarks and daily use don't always agree. This is where the surprise from the top of the video lives. According to official Goldie Bench docs, Kimi K3 scores 7.89 out of 10 against Gemini 3.6, Flash's 7.08. On the shared task set, Kimi K3 beats Gemini 3.6 Flash head-to-head 37 wins to 11. That's not close. Then there's SWE Bench verified. Kimi K3's vendor-reported figure is 76.8%. But an independent Val's AI harness puts the real number at 93.4%. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Most of the time, a vendor number is the optimistic one. DeepSeek V4 Pro has no coding benchmark published at all. Kimi K3 wins this test clean. Score now. Gemini 3.6 Flash 1, Kimi K3 1, DeepSeek V4 Pro 0. Here it's the opposite. Moonshot published the pessimistic score, and the independently measured result is the one that's actually elite tier. Coding quality doesn't matter if you're sitting there waiting on the response. Community reported throughput puts Gemini 3.6 Flash at roughly 304 tokens per second against Kimi K3's roughly 41. Kimi K3 does answer first though. Its time to first token runs around 3 seconds, while Gemini 3.6 Flash takes 12 to 15 seconds before it starts talking. If you're chaining calls in an agent loop, that first token gap barely matters next to a 7 throughput lead. DeepSeek V4 Pro again has no published figures here, only community chatter about its Flash sibling being fast, which doesn't count for Pro. Gemini 3.6 Flash takes this test on throughput. Score: Gemini 3.6 Flash 2, Kimi K3 1, DeepSeek V4 Pro 0. That's about 7.4 times faster on raw output. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Now, stick with me, because this is where the scoreboard tightens up. Both models report close to a 1 million token context window. Gemini 3.6 Flash at roughly 1 million, and Kimi K3 at exactly 1,048,576. The real separation is in output. Gemini 3.6 Flash caps a single response at roughly 65,000 tokens. Kimi K3's ceiling runs all the way up to roughly 1 million tokens in one response, about 16 times larger. That matters if you're generating an entire module or a long document in a single pass instead of saying. There is a real caveat on context and output limits worth naming before we score it. That's a tie, no real gap to score. Next up is deployment and modality, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On deployment and modality, Kimi K3 pulled clearly ahead once the workload got real. So Kimi K3 takes deployment and modality, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Here's where Gemini 3.6 Flash clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here is where Kimi K3 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Here is where DeepSeek V4 Pro clearly pulls ahead of the field. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.